All right, everybody ready? Got everything? It's a great day to be a Razorback. It's I want to first of all start off with thanking you for being here today and for covering the Razorbacks and your passion for this university and for this football program. It doesn't go unnoticed, so thank you. 61 days ago we took over, and the last 33 days we've had our full staff, essentially 7 days a week, on the road all over the country, close to 18,000 miles, just in planes alone in 15 states, and just getting our brand, getting our logo all over this country. And we're extremely excited about the 16 young men that we have signed in this signing class. We're not done yet. We have potential to have a few more, but we'll wait and see on that. But I'm here to talk about the young men that started this thing and what I refer to as the Great Eight. The guys that started and believed in us on December 20th to initially start this signing out with our Razor Fast 18 class. With all the excitement of today and the wow factors of everything going on, I do not want to lose focus of these 8 young men that believed in us and their families. And we're extremely excited about those guys, and we'll talk definitely in detail with them about those guys in just a few minutes. We signed 8 more today. And it is a small class, a class of 16 that they all have one thing in common. And what really excites me is not only are these guys committed to play for the University of Arkansas, but they've committed to play for the entire state of Arkansas. And that's what excites us all, the passion that they have for not just this university, but for the entire state as we build something extremely special here. The 8 young men that we signed today address needs that we felt like in our defensive line. We signed Cortrey Alexander, which is a big D lineman, won a state championship over in Owasso. Rakeem Boyd, a running back, which we felt like in this league you've got to have depth at back. We've got 4 on the roster. He would count 5 on scholarship. We have, and we'll talk a little bit more about making some changes throughout the course of getting into spring ball to make sure we got plenty of depth at running back as we enter spring. Joe Fouché, a defensive back out of New Orleans, McDonald 35. Extremely excited about him. Noah Gatlin, big offensive lineman from right here in our great state in Jonesboro. Addresses a need. I think you see that we've signed 3 offensive linemen in this class, 2 of those big offensive tackles, and we're excited about them. Noah Gatlin being one of them. John Stephen Jones, a quarterback out of Highland Park, a program we're extremely familiar with, and a winner, a state championship appearance and back-to-back state championships, winning the last 2 years. And one of the most historic winningest programs in the state of Texas, and extremely excited about having him. Miles Mason, a big-time safety out of Alabama at a Hewitt-Trussville, a young man that meets some needs that we've got to have, brings quickness, brings explosion, and the closer he gets to the football, the faster and more violent he becomes. We're really excited about him. He was a young man that 61 days ago we targeted. And in his relationship with Coach Chavis really built in, and to be able to land that young man was very critical for us. Andrew Parker, a linebacker out of Sophie B. Wright there in New Orleans, a young man that came down literally to the wire, and finally got his signing papers in. But this is a young man that's got an incredible upside, a huge upside that I believe the sky is the limit for him. Very meets all the intangibles, extremely fast. He's big, he's got the height, and obviously the explosion to go along with it. Extremely smart, great character, all these guys are. And our last one that we signed today was Ryan Winkle. Ryan, a big 6'6", 6'6 and a half, offensive tackle from Christian Brothers over in Memphis. As we talked about earlier about having where our footprint is, and putting the 10 coaches in the state of Arkansas, and including inside that our footprint being Memphis and the Tulsa area, and we were able to get into those areas and sign some kids. We're extremely excited about these 8 young men that we've signed. And I couldn't tell you how proud I am of this class, how proud I am of these young men that are working here in the program, and we knew it was a small class, but and so we had to really go after and be selective in who we chose. We still have a couple positions out there that possibly could land in our program over the next couple of days, but we'll wait and see on that. But with that, I'll open up for questions.
Hey, Coach. How important was it for you to focus on the defensive side of the ball with this class, and also just kind of overarching principles of how you got this class together?
Yeah, you know, I thought that, especially after getting our defensive staff together and going through the depth that what we had, on January 4th, we all reported back and really kind of dove into that and kind of looking at the personnel that we had. And then going from a 3-down back to a 4-down front, you know, we've got to have a great need for that true rush in coming off the edge. So you'll see some guys on our roster right now that'll have to change positions and maybe move down to become that rush in to get us what we want. We feel like that we've addressed some of the needs. We're always looking for more. And one of the things I would say too, speaking again defensively, is in particular in this league, you've got to have depth. And you know, we're able to sign, I believe, 4 right now, and hope to get a couple more to have the depth in that D line that we've got. We need to be successful to build that defense back up. And talking with Coach Chavis and our defensive staff, we need to talk about you know, the speed at linebacker, and obviously we signed Bumper earlier, and to be able to get Andrew was big for us. And then obviously in secondary, you know, we had Ladarius Bishop already signed, but to be able to sign Joe. And Joe's been a safety, but he's very dynamic. I mean, he's a guy that could play that nickel Sam position for us to come off the edge, be a great pass rusher. He could also, he has the tremendous track speed to be able to move out and play some corner if we need to. So he's just a great versatile player for us. That man, when you got him on campus, you just I mean, you couldn't help but just to say, man, this guy has something to him, and as they all do. But it was a big defensive class emphasis. I think we signed 9 on defense and 7 on offense. So,
Chad, given
Yes,
your
sir.
connection to Highland Park, what kind of relationship did you have with the Jones family, and do you think that helped at all in getting John Stephen to commit?
Well, I think obviously the relationship there with our connections to Highland Park, my connection to Coach Allen, and obviously to the Jones family, but I also think that, you know, this university has done a tremendous job of selling to not just you know, not just to John Stephen, but to our entire class. I mean, one of the things it resonated with all our players that came up here, even some of those that was you know, we didn't land. Man, it really tugged on them. Because of the beauty, because of the potential, because of the commitment, and I think that it was a great connection in all avenues. But one of the things that really intrigued me about John Stephen was, I think the guy's a winner, and I mean, man, when you play in that league and at that level, and you put the numbers up that you've put up, and you've been able to not just compete but to win back-to-back state championships. I mean, that says enough, and that's what we want to surround ourselves with. We want to surround our program with is with winners, and winners both on the field and off the field.
Coach, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit. You talked about Fouché a little bit, but just the combination of the 2 safeties that you brought in with him and Miles Mason, and also I was wondering about if you could talk a little more about how the recruitment of Rakeem Boyd started up. Yeah,
you know, let's talk about Miles. And I know you've seen his highlight film. I mean, wow, that guy, he'll leave a mark when he gets there. And and you have him and you have Joe combined with the players that we have on our roster. I do anticipate both of these young men being able to come in here and make an immediate contribution for what we want to do defensively and the pressure that we want to bring. And so, but I'm again, those 2 guys right there immediately. Like I said, 61 days ago, I think our day one we immediately targeted Miles, and Coach Craddock, and you know, for his connection into the state of Alabama, and obviously our connection in that state, and the ties that are there at his school with Arkansas, and I thought there were some huge needs there for it. So to be able to get Miles, a great family, an incredible family, a winner, and then Joe, and have that combination there is critical. And then Rakeem, you know, we knew coming in we were transitioning. I say transition. We were really focused in on. We needed to get another back to play the number of snaps that you're going to play in this offense and in this league, and the ability that our running backs have to be a part of in pass protection. You can't just go into the season with 2 or 3 backs. You got to go in with some depth at running back, and from the way we practice. And to the way that we demand these guys, not just in pass protection, but also catching the ball out of the backfield. So we knew of Rakeem. You know, obviously we got coaches on our staff that have been on been at the university he had been at prior to, and had raved about him and some things there. And the young man went to junior college. To kind of reopen some things up and take care of some academics, and so we're excited about him. I knew him when he came out of high school. We had actually recruited him at SMU, and one of the top backs in the country at the time. And you know, he's a little over 6'1", and he'll be up to about 220 by the time the season starts, is what we're hoping. And the other thing that I also thought really helps us out is you know, this is he's an older player, so for his ability to come in and to help the backs that we already have on our roster with you know, with Devois and Chase and those guys, is really going to help that. So you know, in some of those positions, you know, a running back, if it's true freshmen, sometimes they come in and just the speed of the game. You got the speed of the game plus the transition to understand the offense slows them down, and you know, they wind up redshirting, which there's nothing wrong with that. But you know, with Rakeem, this is a different story here. He's able to come in and make an immediate impact. We're hoping.
Coach, you want to get the O-line back among the elite in the country. You bring in Ryan Winkle. What'd you like about him? What does he bring to the table? The fact that he called his visit a game changer. Yeah,
you know, he first of all, when you meet his family, and you see what they're about, and you know, you understood right there that this guy has a chance to be extremely special. Been a basketball player. I've said it many times. I love multiple sport players. I think that's valuable. It tells me a few things. It tells me you can take different styles of coaching. And your athleticism, and when you look at him and you see his body size and the potential to put on more weight, strength, and his ability to move really sets him apart. So you know, and plus, you know, one thing you can't coach a guy that's 6'6", 6'7". You can't coach that. And he's got, you know, great wingspan. His arms are long, and to be able to get those DNs as they come off the edge, that's important to us. But you know, just his when we started this process, I think this was Coach Fry's. I think he was one of his first offers, and just started that relationship. And we knew we were going to have to address some tackle needs. We're still low in our numbers in our offensive line. So as we shared with both he and Noah and Silas, I mean, this is to come in and, you know, you need to be able to come in and have your mind ready, and you know, when you get your packets in the mail here in a few weeks or a few days, it's time to go to work. And we're anticipating you coming in here and pushing some guys for some positions.
Is this a class you would have signed if you had more time to sign them?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. You know, these guys right here, 16 guys, are valuable to the success of our program moving forward. And I think one of the things, and that's a great question, but I think you find the true impact of this class. I think you're going to have to look 2-3 years down the road. When we reflect back on this class over the next 2 to 3 years, I think you'll really realize the impact of what these young men have made to this university and to this football program. And I think you look at the December group. That's 8 guys that had more relationships with the new staff than others, but yet they had one common thread, and that was they wanted to be a part of a building process of something special. And when you have that, and you have the talent combined with it, and the work ethic, I think this says a lot about that group in December. And then these final 8 right here was a group that we battled some other big-time programs on in a short period of time, and so I'm excited. I really am, and yeah, absolutely. I would take these guys all day long.
After your hiring, I guess, and then the rush between then and the early signing period, how important was it to have some time to regroup, to refocus on today? And then the second thing I wanted to ask is, do you expect moving forward to be so many kids continue to sign in the early period, or do you think maybe more will wait until today?
Yeah. You know, that's a great question. Let me go back to your first question about did we have a chance to, after December 20th, to regroup, and we did a little bit, but you know the regrouping process really took more of the guys that were on the staff continuing to try to build those relationships and get in on some guys, and while you know I tried to assemble a staff, and so you know putting a staff together. And then getting everybody here on January 4th was our first official day of us all kind of getting together in the same room, you know, instead of being on speakerphone, and then identifying our needs. So we spent, I know Coach Chavis spent basically an entire week. He and Coach Craddock. Of course, Coach Craddock had a little bit more advance on him, but just looking at what we had, you know, again going from a 3 down to a 4 down. And addressing some of those issues that it was going to require. And so, and then of course, Coach had a pretty good idea from seeing Arkansas over the last few years, kind of what they had. And so, and then when they did that, then it was time to go after our targeted guys. And we still got some spots that we'll see. You know, it's not over with. This is just the first day to sign. It's not the last day to sign. But I do know this. I'm excited about the 16 that we have, and we're going to celebrate the 16 that we have, and we're going to celebrate those that we don't get, and because you got to want to be here. If I got to beg you to be here, then I'm going to have to beg you to play, and I'm not going to beg you to play, and because I need your number, and so I'm extremely proud of these 16 young men and their parents and their families, as I shared with them, and their high school coaches. As we shared with them, we won't let them down. You know, yeah. Do I think others will wait till this day to sign? I actually had one of my coaches ask me that question this morning, and I think you will. Now, that's just me. I don't know that for a fact, but I think you'll find more and more guys that may push it back and wait till today. Because again, you know, that was my message. Let's don't lose focus of those guys on the 20th, because that was a special time too. But I think you may find. I don't know. You know, we'll see. Yes, sir.
So you signed your quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you may have added a baseball transfer quarterback. Could you kind of talk about the 3 quarterbacks as a group?
Yeah. Well, the Austin Ani is who you're talking about. Austin got here in January and is a walk-on, and is a young man that obviously played ball in the Yankees organization and played for several years. An older guy, but he's an older freshman, I guess you could say. He's in workouts right now and doing a great job. I think it's if you would talk to all of our players right now, it's pretty much a shock to their system. But I knew it would be. But I'm very proud of their drive and their desire and their hunger. And then the two guys that we signed today, scholarship guys, or actually one in December with Connor, and what he brings to the table and from our state, and a great baseball player, a great football player, a top prospect. I'd talked to Connor. We actually had talked to Connor when we brought him up on his official visit. We brought Connor up on his official visit after he signed, and we sat down with him and his dad and talked about, look, you know, there's a strong possibility that we're going to sign another quarterback. We would like to have 5 the number is to try to have 5 on scholarship. That's pretty much everybody in the country. And man, he was extremely receptive, as he was when we thought we were going to sign another one in December. And you love that. You love that competitiveness in these guys. And then visiting with John Stephen, and you know, he was a guy that's been on our radar for quite some time. Was on our radar at SMU, and just a phenomenal, just a winner. And I think his stats and his records and his ability to play speak for itself. And so I'm excited to have these young men on our board and in our program.
You know,
Yes, sir.
thank you. You know, Chad, recruiting moves at such a breakneck speed now, and I think some SEC teams already have 6 or 7 commitments for 2019. Where are you guys with 2019, and do you feel like you're behind it all just because you had to come in here late and throw so much into this class?
No, I don't feel like we're behind at all. I'm excited moving forward. We've got a lot of offers out. We got a lot of huge interest out. I think what's happened, what you've seen is because of the early signing period for some schools, the majority of them are filled up, so they were able to target spend pretty much the entire month of January on their 2019 class, and some 2020s, and with that they've already had prospect days and brought guys on campus. So our first prospect day will be this Sunday. And so we'll have a group of young men and their families on campus this Sunday at 2 o'clock, and then you'll start seeing our prospect days throughout the course of spring. We'll have probably 7 or 8 getting guys on campus. So I love where we're at with 19s. We've got a lot of offers out, got a lot of momentum right now, and it gives us a chance to build some relationships. So no, by no means we're not behind at all. It'll be a little bit bigger class next year, though. I anticipate us probably signing 20 to 22 next year.
You bring in the 3 quarterbacks. You've talked about them a little bit now, so that gives you, I believe, 7. Matt's not my strong point on the roster. You mentioned you want 5. How do you see the quarterback position kind of playing out the next 3, 4, 5 months?
Yeah, no, I think when you look at your quarterbacks, you look at, you know, when you count your 85, your 85 scholarships, you'd like to have 5 running backs. You'd like to have 5 quarterbacks, and we're at 5 quarterbacks right now on scholarship. And obviously you've got walk-ons that are in there that contribute. By all means, they'll have every chance to play. I mean, we're going to play the best guy, whether you're a walk-on or whether you're a senior scholarship quarterback. That's irrelevant. It's all about competing. And but no, that's been everywhere I've ever been. You always had your 5, and then you have your walk-on guys that come in and add value to your room. And I think Coach Craddock would say the same thing there. Some of our best guys in the room and that have helped our scholarship guys have been walk-ons. And when I say that, I mean, just from their mindset, their game planning and talking and breaking down coverages, they all have a great friendship. So yeah, we've got 5 now, and of course we've got a couple walk-ons, and then so I think. Anything else?
Everybody's asking personnel questions now, so I guess I'll ask you one or a couple. First, I was wondering if there was a role for fullback in this offense. I know you have a couple on the roster, and we know Malik Barkley has also moved to running back. I was wondering if there's any other position moves that you might be able to fill us in on.
There will be, but none I really want to discuss at this point because we haven't quite got into that yet. But there will be for what we feel like is what's best for the team. And but Malik, we did move Malik. Young man played at Lake Travis, very familiar with his program, and was at wide receiver last year. There were 13 guys. I believe there's 13 was 13 on scholarship. Your target number, my target number there has always been 10 to 11, so they're a little over there. And so being able to move Malik over to running back during the spring, give him an ability. We know he's been playing wide receiver. Let's see what he can do if we put him at running back. That gives us 5 on the roster at running back. Rakeem will not be in here until June, and just to give us the depth that we need, that for us to be able to go through the physicality of what we're going to demand during spring practice. So. Yeah, fullback. Yeah, there's always a need for a fullback in this offense. Obviously, we're very multiple in what we do. We will huddle on occasion and we're just changing the tempo of the game. But yeah, we do. Now, do we run with a true fullback at all times? No, we don't. We run with a true tight end at all times that has the ability to step on and off the line of scrimmage and motion and carry verticals and out routes and choice routes. And so that's when you know you're playing fast, when you have that guy. But so yeah, we do. And I know there's a couple on here. But again, you know, one thing you can't measure just a football player. Now, we want football players. I mean, these guys will have a role in this team. Don't get me wrong. Whatever that role may be, it may be special teams, whatever it may be. But we want their contributions.
Coach, you're not short of energy. We know that. In 61 days, do you feel like you talked about the high school coaches whenever you got the job a couple weeks ago. You feel like your impact's being felt throughout in these last 60 days?
You know what I do? I obviously, when you're trying to sign a 2018 class, you put your coaches and everybody's on their own. You're on a mission. You come in, it's the central headquarters, and you send them out, and you regroup, and you send them back out again. You're always on the phone, and you know, as a head coach, one of the things that I wanted to do more of, but was unable to do that, was to spend more time, you know, truly in our state. You know, I wanted to be around the state of Arkansas more, but was because of, you know, you're going and you're trying to home visit kids here in Texas or Oklahoma or Missouri or Florida, wherever it may be, you know, you're spread thin. So what we did was we made sure our staff was scattered throughout the state of Arkansas very, very much, you know, just religiously through the course of each week. I know that we've done a really good job of that. But me as a head coach, a year from now, if we're able to sign a larger class in December, then it'll allow me to focus what we talked about earlier, focus a little bit more on the next year signing class, and to be able to slow down and kind of get out and develop a relationship. So I'm excited about going down to Hot Springs here in a couple of days. We got a big high school clinic down there that'll allow us to kind of, you know, breathe deep, sit down, and really let me as a head coach sit down and visit and talk to our coaches across the state. Now, I have been in the state, but I just haven't been as much as I really want to be. But that was clearly by design, and that was strategically because of the 2018 class.
How tough was it to deal with just 16 to 18 scholarships, and then you mentioned 20 to 22 to really get what you want to get established, and how long may that take with the limitations you have with the number of scholarships you have?
Yeah, you know, I see it. Some people see it, well, wow, that's a negative. You don't have the amount of numbers. I see it as a positive. You know, I see it as a positive that, look, we can be selective. We can be very choosy in who we want to take, and if we don't want to take anybody, we don't have to sign anybody. You know, I just feel like that it's a whole lot easier to come in. You have an idea what your personnel is, but you don't have a complete understanding of it just yet. And to be able to come in and just guess and sign a big class, you know, I wasn't about that anyways. And had we had 22, 25 numbers, I still may not have signed that many. For that exact reason. So, you know, I'm excited about the fact that we just got our 16 guys, or we may wind up getting to 17. I think looking back in 2 years, you'll look back and go, okay, wow, those guys made a huge impact in this program, and not looking back and go, wow, we reached on some guys that didn't stay, or they don't have the impact that if we had had a little bit more thorough background of our personnel here, that you know, where would we have been then? So I'm excited about the 16 guys.
Last one, Ranger.
Coach, I know a lot of people publicly worry about who other people are offering and then what they're rated. How much does that go into your recruiting philosophy?
Zero. Absolutely none. I don't care what other people think of other programs. I care about our program, and you know, what excites me is the fact of what we can do as we build this program up. You know, where we are when we walked in here 61 days ago to where we are right now, and just being the best we can be one day at a time. are we a better football program right now today than we were 61 days ago? And the answer to that is yes. And that's the only thing that matters to me is, are we going to get better today? And we are. We signed 8 guys that are going to make a contribution to this football program, added to the 8 in December. And those 16 guys are going to come in and they're going to make people uncomfortable. They're going to push people that maybe have gotten comfortable on this roster and to see where they fit. And, man, when you get that and you can create some competition and you can get a little fire in a coaching staff out there and people running around like I've seen the last several mornings at 6 a.m. in the morning and getting guys, you know, kind of looking up and realizing, wow, this is different. This is really different. And to see the energy level of our players right now and what they're going through, it excites me. And that's all all we can ask is just be the best we can be today. But as far as, you know, this guy's got this many stars and this team has that many stars, look, that's you know, I could talk all afternoon on that, but it's all about, I want football players. I want when you peel it back and they're excited to be about the Razorbacks and about the state of Arkansas. That's what excites me. And again, if I've got to beg you to come here, then I'm going to have to beg you to play, and nobody's going to last then. So. Anybody else? All right. Thank you. It's a great question, by the way.